Hi, I'm Sophie and welcome to my world. You know, I've had a lot of requests lately for shoes out of duct tape. And so today I'm going to show you how to make a pair of duct tape shoes. Now, to make our duct tape shoes, we are going to need your foot. Let's just pretend this is your foot. We're going to need some cardboard. I'm going to make some strips ahead of time here. I've got them already pre-made, so I've got 5 pre-made fold-over strips, and these are about an inch wide, and they are about 10 inches long. So I've got 5 of those. I'm going to be using my X-Acto knife for this, but you can also use scissors. And I've got a washable marker. This is important. Make sure it's a washable marker. And of course, my duct tape and my work surface, as always. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to take a foot and you're going to stand on a piece of cardboard. And then you're going to use that washable marker and trace around the foot. Now, what you don't want to do is push in like this at an angle. You want to try to do it as up and down as possible so that you're actually making it a little bit bigger than the foot itself. Because when we make this, we don't want your shoe to be tight up on itself. So, okay, so I've traced around there. And you can, give it a little eyeball just to make sure that, as you can see there, you've got some space around your foot. That's really important. There's a little fly on set, so if you see him, say hello. Okay, now what you're going to do is, using your X-Acto knife, you're going to cut out this shoe. Now you would make this shoe bottom here, you would make 2 of these, one for each foot. So one for your right foot and one for your left foot. And if you want to, just so you remember which one is which, you can put a letter right here. In this case, R for right. That way you'll remember which one is which. Okay, so I'm going to cut around and around here. Now I'm actually going to jump ahead here just because cutting can take some time. And I actually have one of these already done. So here it is. As you can see, that would have been tight, tight, tight up against, and this has allowed for a little extra. So I'm going to mark this right so we know it's the right shoe. Now what we're going to do is I am going to cover this with duct tape. And you can use whatever color you want. I like to use a base color. And what you're going to do when you do this is don't go right to the edge here. You want it to actually hang off the edge about an inch to an inch and a half here. See how that's hanging off an inch here and about an inch and a half there? That's how much you want. You want it to hang off like that. And you'll understand why in just a second. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife here. And now I'm going to put another strip right down the center. And just like when I make duct tape fabric, I'm making sure that I overlap by at least 1/4 of an inch. Super important. Okay, I'm going to cut that off. And my last strip. Now, in this case, it's actually a little closer than I'd like it to be. So if you look at it this way, here you go. You can see the tape is all the way around the outside. But I'm not going to get too concerned because I can always add a tiny little extra bit right here where it's not quite as deep. But see, I've overlapped by that 1/4 inch. Anytime that you work with duct tape and you're making fabric, you're covering anything, always, always, always overlap by at least 1/4 of an inch. Okay, let's pull this blade back. Okay, now, what we're going to do now is flip this over so that the sticky side is facing up, and we're going to cut little slits all the way around. I'm going to be using my X-Acto knife for this. And I'm just going to be cutting. Now, don't worry about the angle. You just want to cut straight, 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 straight. And I'm making little 1/2 inch cuts. So I'm making like fringe. Can you see that? So I'm making little fringe cuts. Now, I'm not going to get worried about if they're straight on or if they get angled a little bit. That's okay. And as I come around the edge here, you can see how this one has more meat to it then the end here, in the middle here, don't worry about that. None of this is real important. What's important is getting those cuts all the way around. So you can see I've started here. See all the cuts. Now I'm going to jump ahead here because I have one done. And there you can see it. The shoe has all of its frond around it, its fringe. And what I'm going to do now is I am actually going to fold these edges up and on to the back side, the bottom side, I should say. And so I'm just going to take these little pieces and up and over. See that? Up and over, up and over. Now, this is where on my piece that you saw I had added a little extra. This is why, because you want this to be nice and easy when you pull this up and over. These got a little tight, but you know, that happens sometimes when you're making your examples. So I'm just going to keep going up and over. And you just want to keep pulling these up and over. And see, what it's doing is it's pulling around the base here and making a nice solid covering around that cut out cardboard. This is super important because if you were just to take the tape, if it wasn't cut like this, it wouldn't be able to go around those corners. Just like sewing, when you do a seam and you've got like the underarm of a seam, you have to clip and snip right into those rounded parts. It's the same thing. So see, because of that, I can come up and over and I can get a nice tight rounded edge there. If I just used a piece of tape and I went to fold it over on itself, it would get all bunchy and scrunchy and kind of, well, wouldn't be very comfortable to walk on. So anyway, continue in this manner. This is kind of fun too. I love when I'm doing this to give this pull on it a little bit, just to give it a good stretch. Get a nice solid stretch and cover. So again, going to jump ahead here. So this is what it looks like when it's all done. As you can see, you've got all those edges and they're all pulled around and it's nice and solid everywhere. Now what we're going to do is we are going to add the front strap. So as you can see here, this is going to be like a slip-on slipper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my fabric for this. I'm going to give myself plenty of length. I'm going to give myself about 13, 14 inches here. Now, if you are feeling confident, you can just take one piece of tape and lay it on the back, right over that. But if you're feeling like it might be a bit tricky to get that so that you can get it evenly lined up, which, trust me, even though I've been doing this for a long time, it's hard. It's hard when you have such a long piece to get it all lined up. So I found that the easiest thing to do is take your second piece and just go right in the center with it, and then come back with a third piece. And remember that overlap, and what's fun here is you've got these squares, so you can easily line up those squares and the black line. And then just flip this over and fold these over onto themselves here. And I don't have to worry about this pattern because this is going to be the bottom. There we go. There we are. Snip and snip. Now at this point in time, I like to have some little pieces of tape that are already prepped and ready. See how that's going to be really nice for my strap up above. I like to have pieces of tapes ready to go. So what I've got here are some little strips of red tape here. And all I did was I just took my tape, laid it down, and then just gave it some cuts straight down so that I ended up with little strips that I can use. And the reason I have these is that I'm going to be adhering them to the sides of the shoe, and it's just nice to have that all prepped and ready to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take my strap here, and attach it right here on the bottom. Take a piece like that, and a piece like that. Now, remember, this is a shoe, so you want to make sure that you are attaching everywhere possible, and you want to make sure that you are getting this nice and solid. So I'm going on the side here. This is why I like using the little strips. I'm on the side here. You are not invited. Go away. I do not have shoes small enough for you. Okay, so rub that down there, and that's nicely stuck. And then I can take a bigger piece of tape here and just secure that in really tight, like that. Okay, now you need your foot. So you're going to put your foot here, and you want to measure it up and over. And it's important to have the foot that's going to be wearing this shoe. And the reason is because everybody's shoe is a little bit different, or I should say everybody's foot is a little bit different. The shoe that you're going to make for your foot is going to be a little bit different. You want to make the shoe that fits you. So you can see there's a slight angle here because I'm making this so that the toe comes through and looks really nice and good. And then I'm just going to fold it over here, slip this out. Now don't worry, it's okay. You can put that on the ground like that. It won't ruin your shoe. Okay, I'm going to put it a little bit like that because it's duct tape. It will spring back and take its shape. Okay, now I've got that secured where it needs to be. I'm going to get rid of this little extra bit. And again, I'm using these little pieces to make sure that it's secured where it needs to be. Okay, come on, little guy. Okay, and I'm going to come up and over that edge a little bit. And then I'm going to come back with a nice big piece of red tape here. And make sure that that's nice and secure. Okay, you could stop here. Right now you got yourself a pair of slippers.